You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
I am back, Rudrance, for Black and White Sports. If you're new to the channel, hit subscribe, like, comment, share out. Check us out on Spotify. By the way, subscriptions are available on Spotify now. That's new. It does give you access to the member stream, as does channel memberships here or any of our other channels, or on Locals or Rumble. Any of those will allow you to get to the member streams that happen pretty much weekly now. So go over there, check it out, and welcome into the Spotify audience and to the YouTube audience. Appreciate you guys watching every time, all the time. Let's get to this because, oh my God, a Cardinals legend. He has angered the WOKES. That's right. And he is also a broadcaster now. In case nobody noticed, I'm just going to remind everybody. Jim Edmonds he's in the Hall of Very Good. He was very damn good. 4-time All-Star, won a World Series in 2006. Nearly 2,000 hits, nearly 400 home runs, whole lot of RBIs, whole lot of runs scored, and a whole lot of making the WOKES online mad. Why? Oh my God, he had the unmitigated gall to say he believed the Indians' name for Cleveland and the Washington Redskins' name were cool names. Well, guess what? On this channel, we think they were cool names too. But in this ultra-triggered, oversensitized, perpetually offended environment that we now live in, of course, those two names have been canceled. It's the Cleveland Guardians, worst name ever, and the Washington Commanders, tied for the worst name ever. I will continue to say on this channel, the Washington Redskins, the Cleveland Indians will always live on. That is the name of those sports teams. By the way, we've talked about this before. My wife, very large part Indian. You know what? She's not offended by those names. In fact, she's offended that people claim to be offended. She's like, Indians, Native Americans, they're tougher than that. They're not whiny. They're not bitchy. Nothing offends them on that level. So that claim has been wildly overstated. Let's get to this because Jim Edmonds, oh Jesus, they're trying to cancel him as of today. Former Cards slugger Jim Edmonds angers the WOKES, saying Indians and Redskins were, quote, cool names. Former MLB great, current Cardinals broadcaster Jim Edmonds raised the ire of the radical left on Thursday night after he dared to say the sports teams with Native American nicknames such as the Indians and the Redskins, quote, was a cool thing. You know what, Jim Edmonds? It was a cool thing. It was. Edmonds made the comment during the Astros and Cardinals game as he and fellow broadcaster Chip Carey discussed renaming sports franchises. Oh, I could have told him that was dangerous waters to wade into. We've waded neck high into them for the last 2.5 years here. Edmonds remarked that he had no issue with teams having Native American mascots. In fact, he actually thinks it's a good thing. I always thought it was kind of cool, a cool thing, not a bad thing to have a team named after Indians or vice versa or whatever. The Washington Redskins. And of course, somebody like Awful Announcing tweeted out, yep, Jim Edmonds went there. Let's listen.
Actually got quite a few messages on social media about some of the teams. And then, it's really funny is when people reach out to you and say, hey, I'm from this area and we really love our baseball here. And somebody else will say, yeah, I wish they had the old names that they used to have. And it's just funny to hear everyone's opinion.
What were some of the ones that you've got inquiries on?
The Spokane one, I got a couple of people reach out and said they're from Spokane with the Indians. And I thought it was cool. I was like, I'm still shocked that, that we've changed so much as a whole that we're not allowed to have the Cleveland Indians anymore, the Guardians. And I'm saying that, too, because my wife is partial Native American Indian. And, I always thought it was a kind of a cool thing, not a bad thing, to have a team named after, the Indians or vice versa, whatever, the Washington Redskins, all that stuff.
On the ground.
It kind of sounded like he realized wading into those waters might get dangerous, and they did, ridiculously. I mean, that's the craziest part about all this is we can't have conversations anymore without people getting offended. Just conversations. Just having brought it up when he's telling you there are other fans besides you guys that actually do miss the names and actually want to talk about it and have the conversation about it. It's ridiculous. I mean, come on. Come on. And somebody will say, yeah, I wish they had the old name. They used to have it. It's funny to hear everybody's opinion. Well, guess who thought it wasn't funny or funny to hear everyone's opinion? A bunch of liberals on Twitter. That's who. Edmonds was promptly blasted by many who didn't appreciate his comment. Wild that people are still holding on to this. Guess what, Grant? It's not going away. Is anyone surprised that Jim Edmonds is an idiot? Maybe you should look in the mirror, Sarah. There you may see an idiot. Bunch of question marks. What's the problem, Dillard? Besides your name? Oh, and here comes the let's get rid of Jim Edmonds and his job. Hey, Bally Sports, MW. Of all people you could have picked to be the Cardinals analyst, you picked Jim Edmonds. The guy lacks intelligence, is inarticulate, and is a garbage human being. Here we go. Tonight he proved what a horrible hire that was. Do better. Don't watch anymore. Varg. Don't watch. What kind of a name is Varg anyway? Maybe this finally gets Jim Edmonds off of the Cardinals games. At Bally Sports, MW. Farewell, Jim Edmonds. We hardly knew thee. Wrong answer. We know exactly who Jim Edmonds is. I watched him play ball for 15 years. Of course, all Edmonds is guilty of is agreeing with what 90% of Native Americans believe. A 2016 Washington Post found that 9 in 10 Native Americans were not offended by the term Redskin. But in the end, the left didn't care what our Native Americans wanted or thought, and they still don't. Yeah, you know what's crazy? Really and truly, it is other people that are offended by this and not the Native Americans. We talked about that before we got into this. How about you don't need to be habitually offended on behalf of other people, because guess what you're doing now? You're telling people of other ethnicities what's supposed to get them offended? How about that's offensive, for crying out loud? Sit down and shut up, you woke assholes. It's amazing that here we are. We can't have conversations. We're having to do stories like this multiple times a week on this channel. It's insane. One of the better to best ball players of all time. The fact that he's got a world title, he's got all those silver sluggers, and go to Baseball Reference and look up Jim Edmonds. He could be in the Hall conversation. He probably won't make it, but there's at least an argument to be made there. I, for one, have no problem with his commentary on something like this. In fact, you know what it is? It's freaking refreshing. You morons that are offended by all of this crap. Jesus. Tell me what you think, Black and White Sports supporters. Peace. I'm out. Hit subscribe. Till next time. Black and White Network supporters, make sure you go over and check out the Black and White Network merchandise store. 25% off USA First. 25% off USA First. Go now.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.